Hello and welcome to Norwood News. Today is Friday, August 28th, and I'm your host, Krista McDonald. Sunday, in the middle of a heavy thunderstorm, the fire department responded to a structure fire on Walpole Street near Davis Ave. As crews arrived, they found a detached garage on fire. For more on the fire, we go to Fire Department spokesperson Joe O'Malley.
Sunday at 5:55 p.m., Norwood Fire Dispatch received a call reporting a garage fire near the intersection of Walpole Street and Davis Avenue. Group 2 was on duty. Companies responded, arrived on scene, and found a garage that was well involved with heavy smoke showing. Heavy fire was found throughout the garage. It was different than a typical residential fire. It was used more for commercial purposes, so the fire load was a little bit more than a typical garage fire. So a working fire was struck, bringing a Walpole engine to the fire and a Westwood engine to provide station coverage for the town. The heavy fire was knocked down fairly quickly, but crews were on scene for about 2 hours overhauling and chasing fire extension. During that time, Westwood Fire handled multiple runs in town. Fire investigators are working to determine a cause. They don't have one as of yet. No estimated damage totals yet, and there were no injuries to any occupants or firefighters.
Last week, the Massachusetts Ethics Commission issued a decision and order finding that Norwood Selectman Helen Donahue violated the Conflict of Interest law by participating as a selectman in matters related to EC Plaza, a strip mall in Norwood, without first disclosing her contentious personal history with the plaza's owner, Paul EC. In a statement released by the Ethics Commission, quote, in September 2016, EC appeared before the Board of Selectmen to request that a warrant be placed before the special town meeting to rezone EC Plaza, which was zoned partially commercial and partially residential, to entirely commercial. Donahue cast the sole vote against EC's request. The Commission found that a reasonable person, knowing the history of significant personal conflict between Donahue and EC, would conclude that their contentious relationship could improperly influence Donahue in her performance of her official duties. The Commission concluded that Donahue, who did not file a disclosure regarding her contentious relationship with EC, violated the Conflict of Interest law when she participated as a selectman in the discussion and vote on EC's warrant request, end quote. Donahue was given a $50 fine by the State Ethics Commission and has 30 days within which to pay the civil penalty or file an appeal in the Superior Court. Stay tuned after this break for more town news.
Do you want to stay up to date with Norwood Community Media? Then subscribe to our weekly NCM newsletter. Every Friday, our promotions department publishes an online newsletter that highlights the work of NCM and the latest happenings. It includes the full episode of Norwood News, recent clips from NCM programs, behind-the-scenes photos, and so much more. NCM works hard to deliver a steady stream of Norwood content, and this newsletter is another way to stay connected to Norwood. To receive the newsletter, just visit www.norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Scroll to the bottom of the page, click the Sign Up for Our Newsletter button, and enter some basic information. You'll then be added to our newsletter mailing list. It's all here on Norwood Community Media, your home for all things Norwood.
Welcome back. The Skating Club of Boston marked another milestone in the construction phase as the center logo was revealed and installed at the center of the building this past weekend. Doug Zegheib explains the logo's historical significance and what it means for the progress of the club.
So today's a big day of pride for the club. It's been 10 years in the making. I've been working on this project for 10 years, and the club logo represents its connection to the past. It's actually the sport as well. Compulsory figures are represented in the design. They're no longer practiced in the sport. So it's our tie to the last 100 years. And importantly, this building is our tie and our future for the next 100 years. So raising the club logo, it's the bringing the 200 years together, the last and our vision for the next 100. Paint color, type, certainly all those things. The design that we wanted it die cut to be as true as possible to the real logo and not just a relief. And it's been about a year process from when we first conceived of it. And yeah, we're excited to have it state what the club is right on the front, this close to the street.
Thanks, Doug. We look forward to the full opening of the club coming soon. As part of Norwood's efforts to revitalize the downtown area, a few young artists with guidance from town manager Tony Mizuko have made some beautiful changes. Tara Bellata was approached by the town to transform the Jersey barriers into works of art.
Well, Tony Musico wanted to make sure that the town looked really nice, especially with the gray barriers that they put up to block off the center. And he was thinking if we could have some young artists come in and paint them, make them look really nice, it could really add to the area. So my mom works for the town. She had known people in the purchasing department, so they reached out to me and they asked me, do you want to paint these? Let's get a team together and we can start doing that. So.
Bellata quickly realized that she was going to need to assemble a team of artists to tackle the project.
I first came together with Katie McLeish and Keith Gula, and we all met and we realized this was a much bigger project than they originally thought. So I got 3 more people, Jerry, Maddie, and Chloe Ronco. And we just kind of went over ideas together. This is an Italian restaurant, so this idea is more of a vineyard. Up there is more scenery and landscapes and everything.
Artist Madison Evans explains the team's inspiration behind the mural out front of Vico's restaurant.
This project started out as kind of a Italian vineyard winery, but I've become close with the owner of Vico's, and he told me he was born on a farm and it reminds him of a farm, so we're kind of just mixing those 2 ideas together.
All the artists agree that being able to take their artwork outside and brighten up the downtown area is very rewarding. If you have yet to see the artwork, take a ride up to the Common and check it out. It is really stunning work. Little Bird Events, located at the Space Center, had to get creative in the way they conducted their business after the new guidelines and regulations were announced by the state. Owner Angela Marengi explains.
Our business has changed quite a bit in that we've tried to salvage some of our outdoor events and bring them outside. So essentially you're picking up your whole kitchen and moving it a quarter mile away, which has been challenging. But we've just been trying to keep as many events as we can. We've postponed a lot of events to 2021, and then of course we've had a number of cancellations as well. The town of Norwood's been amazing, and over one weekend they approved for Little Bird Events to pick up shop and move outside. So we have a full bar and food service available outside in this courtyard at the Norwood Space Center that we're really fortunate and grateful to have. The courtyard is primarily used for tenants to come outside during the day, but in the evenings, Thursday through Saturday, we're offering dinner and drinks to the public in a safe, socially distanced environment. So we are underneath these sails that we have out here, and we cook right on the grill right here for you, so you can see where everything's being made, and you can have a good, safe time outside.
Marengi and her staff have taken all the proper precautions to operate safely and keep all the customers safe and comfortable.
So when you come to Little Bird's Secret Garden outside at the Space Center, you're going to come through Building 8. There's hand sanitizer at the door. You'll check in, give the host your name and phone number. You'll be seated at a table that's 6 feet apart outside in the open air. So we are weather dependent and do close if the weather is bad. And we have hand sanitizer at the table. All of our staff has taken the appropriate protocols, and we clean up after you leave.
Little Bird's Secret Garden will stay open until October with many different events and outdoor activities being offered.
Well, right now we're building a calendar of events, so you can come in and have dinner, you can come see some comedy, some live music, while we can utilize the outdoor space through October. So if you're interested in learning about our menus or what kind of special activities we have, you can visit us at littlebirdevents.net.
Thanks, Angela. Now we're going to toss it over to our good friend Brian Dunn with sports.
Hello and welcome to the sports update for this week. My name is Brian Dunn, and last week we broke the news that the MIAA voted in favor of a hybrid 4-season schedule in which there are 2 separate installments of the fall season. Just a few reminders of the coming weeks unfold on the fluidity of the situation. First and foremost, this is not something all leagues and member schools must participate in. Any school can opt out of any season at any time. The model is designed to create the safest environment and structure for those who do participate. However, you likely have seen a lot of other schools in the area electing to move all fall sports into that Fall 2 category. It was reported this week the Northeastern Conference principals have elected to move into that fall season into the Fall 2 category, and separate sports might fall into that category as well. Hockomock League Volleyball also will move into the Fall 2 category as well. So again, just a reminder, these guidelines reported on last week are essentially liable to move at any point, so just keep that in mind as the information comes out in the coming weeks. And there will be more news from a league-to-league perspective on where certain teams will fall, so stay tuned for more updates next week. Again, just to reiterate, every league, every school is taking this information and making decisions differently, so there's still work to be done in terms of modifications on certain sports and guidelines on the game structure, so more information is surely to come out in the next coming days, so keep it here to the Sports Update for all that information. And to wrap it up this week, just want to give a quick shout out to the Norwood Senior Babe Ruth team on being crowned the South Shore Playoff Champions of 2020. Well done by the team. And that's my sports update for this week. Make sure you tune in next week for more updates on where teams will fall when it comes to the upcoming MIAA season. Talk to you next week. Kristen, back to you.
Thanks, Brian. In school news, over 40 custodians from town and school buildings met this morning for training. The newly established Townwide Facilities Department will be providing training throughout the year. Assistant Director Chris Folan explains.
We're here at Norwood High School. We're doing an on-service training with the Townwide Facilities Department. The first that we've had since the new department started up. There's 43 members of the custodial staff from the school department as well as all the town buildings. It's the first time that we've gotten them all together for an in-service training. The three categories that they're covering today are bloodborne pathogens, disinfecting, which is very important, obviously with what's going on now, as well as the right to know. And the right to know is simply the chemicals and stuff that the custodians use, the safety data sheets and et cetera that goes with them to protect them from what they're using. So this is the first of many in the collaboration with the townwide facilities that we'll be doing with the custodians. It's here at the beautiful high school, and it gets the guys from the library and the town hall and the civic and police and fire all together to meet the other custodians. And at some point down the road, we're all going to be as one, and it'll be great to have everybody working together in all the different buildings and doing the same things. So this is a good thing for the reason that the guys in the schools have been trained on cleaning the buildings after students are in here, some younger, some older, depending on the school that you're in, elementary or high school. And it's good now for us to be training the town custodians, police and fire and library, civic and stuff, where those same age people or older are. And with the COVID going on now, the materials that are out there, the supplies that we can get our hands on easier. It's great with the townwide facilities department that we can show these guys the proper cleaning techniques that are new to the market and new to the industry. So it'll help everybody, and it helps the town for sure in getting all our buildings safe. So in the next few weeks, the students hopefully will be returning to school in some form. So what we have planned as of right now with the superintendent and the school committee is a hybrid model where different cohorts will be coming in, 2 different cohorts on Monday and Tuesday and Thursday and Friday. Wednesday is going to be where the school is going to be deep cleaned. We have backpack sprayers that we can disinfect classrooms, the desks, all the touchable surfaces. We have new wipes and sprays for all the knobs and railings and stuff in the stairwells. So that's what we're looking at right now, middle of September for the students to return and the teachers and staff. And we are bringing this product and this technique also down to the town buildings as well.
Thanks, Chris. In government, the League of Women's Voters hosted a virtual 12th Norfolk District Representative Candidates Forum Monday night. Current Representative John Rogers and candidate Michael Dooley fielded submitted questions chosen by the League of Women Voters. Questions pertain to current Massachusetts bills and the state of the education. Both candidates also gave responses to a bill that gives a 2050 roadmap to a clean and thriving Commonwealth.
I'm proud to say that I'm endorsed by the Sierra Club, one of the most important environmental groups in the country and here in Massachusetts. I do support that bill, working to pass legislation to get that done. Energy is one of the driving forces of climate change, and the fossil fuel industry is the driving force funding the opposition to environmental legislation. I think converting Massachusetts to 100% renewable energy will stop the ceaseless consumption of non-renewable sources that pose a threat to our communities. Renewable energy is far more reliable, far less expensive, and switching to these energy sources saves our constituents both time and money in the long run.
I'm endorsed by the Environmental League of Massachusetts. I'm also endorsed by the Mass Organization of State Engineers and Scientists that work hands-on. When I created and wrote the law to create the Community Preservation Act, which Norwood has adopted, the Sierra Club was nowhere to be seen when we were putting that through. And I'm happy that the town just cut the ribbon on the Bond Street playground with CPA funds. I worked with Moses, I worked with the Department of Environmental Protection to to secure the $2.7 million in financing to rebuild Norwood sewer systems so that superstorms like the one on June 28th don't destroy homes.
Tension ran high between the candidates during the forum, which ended with strong closing remarks.
My first job in Norwood was as a paper boy, delivering to the families of Norwood. I was age 5, and in many ways, I'm still a paper boy, delivering different types of papers for the people of Norwood in the forms of laws that protect our veterans, our seniors, our school children, those struggling with opioid addiction. But this election, it's less about Mr. Dooley and me than Mr. Plasko and me, who endorses Mr. Dooley. See, Bill Plasko desperately wants a liquor license for this out-of-town, out-of-state corporation that broke its promise to the children of Norwood. And 400 citizens testified against that, the bill that Senator Rush and I agreed to file, contingent upon them keeping their promise to the children. They have not kept their promise to the children. So Mr. Plasko couldn't get it through the House or the Senate and tried to take a pocket license to get it through the ABCC, but Matt Brown and 25 angry taxpayers held up the process. So then he threatened to take papers out of me. I don't care. I'm not going to be intimidated. I don't work for the board. I'll work with them. I don't work for corporations. Work with them, but won't be intimidated.
John, this election's between you and I, not you and Mr. Plasko. I want to thank the league for organizing this forum. I also want to thank everyone who's watching live at home and attending virtually. And if it wasn't clear already, tonight revealed why there needs to be a change on September 1st. The people have an opportunity to bring a fresh voice to Beacon Hill. And now more than ever, we need a new generation of leadership to confront the challenges that face us. I'm proud to be supported by the Sierra Club because they know I'll confront climate change head on. I'm proud to be supported by NARAL Pro-Choice Mass because they know I'll always stand up for women's reproductive freedom. I'm proud to be supported by the Bay State Stonewall Democrats because they know I stand up for the LGBTQ+ community. I'm proud to be supported by multiple members of the Democratic State Committee because they know I'm a real Democrat, not one who's financed by Republican super PACs. I'm proud to be supported by Norwood School Committee member Dave Catania because he knows that our schools deserve better. I'm proud to be supported by a Walpole community leader, Phil Chacharowski, because he knows that Walpole deserves a community presence. And I'm proud to be supported by the chair of the Norwood Selectmen, Bill Plasko, because who knows better than him about the absence of our leadership on Beacon Hill.
You can watch the full forum on demand on our YouTube page and at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Monday night's busy planning board meeting began with a minor site plan approval for a storefront sign. The new store, Norwood Spice, at 655 Washington Street, was denied their application for a sign. The members of the board continued the hearing and asked for a different style sign. The second agenda item was a discussion on the redevelopment of the existing Big Y supermarket. Members of the board, representatives from the applicant, and residents were all heard on the matter. After an hour-long discussion, Pal Halkiotis, town planner, made a recommendation to the board.
At this point, it might be best for the board to continue the hearing to our next meeting to see if we can work on resolutions to these outstanding issues. Why don't we recommend that the board vote to continue this hearing until September 14th at 7:15 p.m.
That is part of my motion, 7:15.
Do I have a second?
14th.
All right. Second. Thank you, Brian. All in favor? Aye.
Following the Big Y redevelopment hearing, the board had discussions on 60 Union Street subdivision and Route 1 study and rezoning. To end the meeting, representatives from Skating Club of Boston presented a project update. The next planning board meeting will be September 14th. DPW Director and Town Engineer Mark Ryan appeared at the Board of Selectmen meeting Tuesday night. Mr. Ryan highlighted some of the damage that occurred after the June 28th rainstorm. The Selectmen and the DPW Director also discussed the Meadowbrook drainage study that was completed in 2004.
During that event in June of 1998, we had nearly 6 inches of water fall in 24 hours. June of 2020, June 28th of 2020, we had nearly 5 inches, well over 4.5. Some records are saying closer to 5 inches in 90 minutes. So there's no system, Mr. Chairman, that could handle that. But regardless, it's something we should start looking into, seeing what upgrades we can make to the drainage system. And Norwood has not been standing idly by. We've invested a lot of money, not only in this report, but actual infrastructure improvements. The Sumner Street culvert was wiped out in 1998. We went through a grant process in town funds and replaced that with a 4x8 culvert.
Later in the meeting, Selectman Hajar made a motion to create an implementation committee for open space and recreation. The motion failed 3-2. A new motion made by Selectman Maloney gave the charge to Town Manager Tony Mizuko and passed unanimously. The next Board of Selectmen meeting will be Tuesday, September 1st. Also Tuesday, the Trails Advisory Committee met to address a few topics. One of the first orders of business was introducing new member Kate Smith and the review and approval of prior meeting minutes. The committee gave some trail updates, including a report from Sue Bartlett on the Peswick Trail and the reminder on reporting any damage to current trails. The committee ended the meeting with their usual roundtable discussion of recent trail walks and brainstorming. The Trails Advisory Committee's next meeting is scheduled for September 8th. The school committee met on Wednesday with a packed schedule. Chris Capizio kicked off the meeting with a review of the Extended Day Summer Program and proposed a model for the Extended Day After School Program, as well as remote learning support for the upcoming school year.
So the after-school program proposal as of now is that we're only going to open to students who are enrolled in the hybrid model, not students who are enrolled in the remote learning or students who are choosing to be homeschooled, and that it'll only be offered on the in-school days. So that looks like a Monday, Tuesday block, and that looks like a Thursday, Friday block based on the cohort groupings, and that we would not be open on Wednesdays. There would be no busing and no travel to the Savage Center. We would look at having our after-school program available at all 6 of the schools, including the Willett Elementary or the Willett Early Childhood Center, excuse me. So here we are looking at remote learning support. I know this is something that has come out a few times, and in our general conversations and on social media, and probably privately in our homes, we are definitely interested in providing a remote learning support setting or environment for students who are enrolled in the hybrid model. So this is not for the Remote Learning Academy. This is not for students who are being homeschooled. This will be held at the James R. Savage Center, so where we are presently located and where we are operating for the summer.
NHS Principal Dr. Hugh Galligan suggested that the parking fees for NHS students be waived or reduced for the year. The board voted 4-1 to reduce the parking fees from $100 to $40 for the school year. Superintendent Dr. David Thompson presented his 4th school reopening update, which included the Remote Learning Academy, school calendar, staggered start proposal, as well as the additional staffing needs the school will need to operate this upcoming year between hybrid and remote students.
Yeah, so, I think it's, I guess basically talk a little bit about, we're trying to, we have to basically spread students out, teach, in our district model, which we're planning on the hybrid being the primary delivery. And then we've also are required to offer a remote only option, which means we basically, as Mr. Bodenhofer pointed out, we basically have to staff a whole nother school. So when you look at that, and we're looking at it through several different models to do the Remote Learning Academy. The other piece is that we're going to be asking our teachers, all of our teachers, to use much more instructional technology. So we, at the last meeting, the school committee did approve 2 positions for instructional technology specialists. We anticipate that costing us about $128,000. We will need approximately 21 elementary teachers. I am hopeful once we fleece some of those numbers and scrape down a little bit and look for some carryover, we might be able to reduce that a little bit. But ultimately, we have to have people to do the work, and that's over $1 million. 1 SPED teacher, some of the students that have opted for the Remote Learning Academy also are students that are in a sub-separate program. And that's not something we can reproduce with our current in-person staff.
The board voted to pass the recommendation to post the jobs for hire for the additional staff members and move forward with the hybrid plan. The school committee has added a meeting for next Wednesday, September 2nd at 7 p.m. For complete government coverage, tune into the NCM Government channel or watch it on demand at norwoodcommunitymedia.org. Stay tuned after this break for more town news. Welcome back. Savithka Kamara and Tanya Coley, two Norwood High School students, decided to try something different this summer and give back to others in need during these difficult times.
So this summer we have transformed a plot. So this is a plot that hasn't been used. It was infested with weeds. So what we want to do is we didn't want to waste the plot, so we took out all the weeds and we have planted a variety of plants and many flowers that can be donated to food pantries. So it's going for a useful cause.
Tanya Coley never thought when she started out gardening it would lead to so much more.
Well, for me at least, it started out as just volunteering and it turned into, something much more. And it's affiliated with the UIC, which is a club at Norwood High that deals with the stuff in the environment and the community.
Savithka and Tanya's main goal is to contribute as much as they can to the Norwood Food Pantry and to give back to people in need during these unprecedented times. The girls will be back next year at the garden and hope anyone that is interested will join them.
It may be tiring and it may be a lot of hard work, but in the end it really pays off and it's an amazing experience that you will definitely love.
August 26, 1920 was a day that will forever be marked in history, and Norwood did its part to celebrate its 100th anniversary Wednesday afternoon. Courtney Rao-Rogers from the League of Women Voters explains what this day means and how Norwood's Town Hall Carillon played a commemorative role.
Today, August 26th in 1920, was the day that U.S. Secretary of State Bainbridge Colby actually put the 19th Amendment into the Constitution. It had been ratified a week, It had been ratified a week earlier by the state of Tennessee, making it law of the land. But the suffragists were not allowed to come to his house to watch him put it into the Constitution. So Carrie Chapman Catt, who was the original president and founder of the League of Women Voters, ordered bells to ring out across the land to commemorate achieving the women's right to vote. So when I read Elaine Weiss's book, The Women's Hour, which is about the battle in Tennessee to get the ratification vote accomplished, she noted that this was something that they had done to commemorate the signing. And when I read this book 2 years ago now, I've been saving this idea for 2 years. Like, we're going to do this in Norwood. We have this beautiful historic bell carillon, and I'm going to see if we can figure out how to do this. And then the pandemic happened, so none of the events we had planned to do were able to happen, but this one we can still be outside, we can wear our masks, we can be appropriate distance from each other, but we can still commemorate the 100th anniversary of women achieving a right to vote. There's still a lot of work to do in this country on voter equality. There's still a lot of voter suppression that happens, and poor and disenfranchised and Black and Indigenous people of color still do not have the same access to voting as white citizens do, so there's still tons of work to do. But 100 years is nothing to sneeze at, so we're happy to celebrate the anniversary with this awesome concert. And we thank Lee Leach for playing, and Tony Mizuko and Bernie Cooper for agreeing to let it happen.
For the first time since the government shutdown, the Senior Center held its first outdoor event. The Cookie Monster food truck stopped by to give the seniors an ice cream treat as they sat down to watch the band perform. Senior Center Director Carrie McCarthy was excited to have the seniors back.
Hello, Carrie McCarthy here, the Director of the Norwood Senior Center, and tonight is our first outdoor event here at the Senior Center since the pandemic. We have 40 of our seniors here to enjoy a concert by the Swing Fever Trio, and as well as some cookies and ice cream actually from the Cookie Monster food truck. We're lucky that we got some donations that was able to fund this event, so we're hoping to continue some outdoor programming throughout the fall.
Thanks, Carrie. It is so great to see Norwood Senior enjoying the center again. Well, that's all for Norwood News. To stay up to date with Norwood Community Media, follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. As always, thank you so much for watching. Have a great weekend.